as you put them to bed, you decided, okay, it's time to go to sleep. You see that their eyes are heavy. It's so important that you actually leave the room before they are fully asleep. It's so important for your child to see you leave, because then it doesn't feel as if you're tricking them. A lot of times what happens is we get anxious again, and we think, oh my gosh, I don't want my child to see me leave and for it to become a fight. And what's so important is that we actually pick that fight early on, so that we give our children the practice of seeing us leave and also seeing us come back. And what this does is it builds trust. It shows that, look, I will leave, and I'm just in the other room. And when you really need me, I'm gonna come back. And so it begins to build that trust. When you start to leave, especially early on in sleep training, your child is going to panic. They're going to panic. They're gonna be like, where are you going? I was just falling asleep and now you're starting to leave. And so what's so important is when your child panics, you don't rush back. Now, you're not gonna leave. You are slowly going to walk back to their crib or their bed when they're upset. Now, what's different this time is you do not want to reinforce this panic. You do not want to essentially tell your child, you're right. You panicked and you're right. This is a really scary circumstance. And the way you would reinforce that fear, is by actually giving them lots of hugs and kisses and coddling then. Again, seconds ago, you gave them lots of hugs and kisses, but now that they're afraid, if you were to do that, you would be reinforcing that. So the way that you can support your child during this time is you walking up and you use a calm, assertive voice. And it doesn't have to be mean, it doesn't have to be harsh, and it doesn't have to be overly loving either. And say, look, you're gonna be okay. And this is where you hold them, you don't pick them up. You want them to be holding their own body weight. And you're gonna get down to their eye level in the best way that you can. And you're gonna give them a big old kiss on the cheek, and you're saying, and you're gonna look them in the eyes. You're gonna squeeze their arms, squeeze their body, but they're still holding their own body weight, if this makes sense. And you're gonna say, you're gonna be okay. It's bedtime, you're gonna be okay. And we're gonna sleep tonight. And once we're done sleeping, I'm gonna come back in the morning. And I'm gonna be right here. And if you need me, you just call me. You don't have to be upset. And again, you can say these things, maybe in simpler words. You can say this to every age, whether they're 2 years old or 19 years old. Say, look, you're gonna be okay. And what you're imparting on them is that you believe in them. You believe in their ability to be independent. You believe in their ability to sleep and rest. And you're also letting them know that they can trust you and that you're consistent and you're accountable. And what's going to happen is they are still going to be upset if this is a new process for you guys. And I want you to know this is absolutely solidly normal for them to be upset. So again, you're comforting them, you're laying them down. You're gonna say, nope, it's time to go to sleep. For little ones, I usually just pick them right up, not pick them up and hold them. Pick them up, lay them back down. Say, hey, nope, it's time to go to sleep. And you're gonna stay there with them for just a few minutes until they start, you hear that, until they start to calm down. And again, you're using that calm, assertive voice. I know you can go to sleep. I believe in you. You're gonna do just fine. Okay? Then you start to walk away. Now, this is where they may begin to panic again. If you're new to sleep training, this may happen 150 times. And so I'm just giving you a heads up. But what's so important about this process is that you do that same thing over and over and over and over again. And what happens every time you do that same thing is it builds trust. And it lets your child know that, hey, I will come back if you need me, but it's time to go to sleep. And what's gonna happen, sometimes it feels like it's gonna take all night, and I have been with children where it's taken 5 or 6 hours, so I wanna give you a heads up. But if you stay consistent, if you do it every single time in this way, what's gonna happen is your child's gonna build trust with you. And eventually they're gonna be so tired, they can't fight the sleep. They can't fight it. They're gonna be so tired that when you finally walk out, they're gonna be out cold because it's hour 3, they just can't do it anymore. Their bodies are so tired. And then, because they've fallen asleep, what gets to happen is when they wake up, whether it's later in the night or if it's in the morning, they get to see that they slept. When they woke up, You came and they were okay. And that's what you're aiming for. You're aiming for that opportunity that you're giving your child to see that they didn't die because you were not in the room with them. And so it's so important that you give them that opportunity to see that for themselves. And by doing that, you're teaching them independence. You're teaching them that you believe in them. You're teaching them that they are capable of being and doing things without you. And it really can be so, so encouraging for them, and it really builds their self-esteem. So this process is so important. And the biggest piece is you staying consistent.